Yeah, the Are You Talking REM Re-Me podcast isn't on Spotify anymore, which is a
Oh,
bummer because I finally have listened to like enough REM that I would not that I didn't enjoy it before. I thought it was funny, but I wasn't as versed on REM to like understand what they were talking about. But now I am, and I really, really want to listen to it. I guess I'll have to find it on YouTube.
yeah, I'm excited for the Talking Heads one. That'll be fun.
Thank God they switched from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I
Yeah,
had no interest in that at all.
I think Red Hot Chili Peppers would have been a funny bit, but I don't know how much longevity it would have had it.
I don't know. Red Hot Chili Peppers for me are a band that like I
They just suck.
really, yeah, I really remember absolutely loving them because I still have it in my car even too. One of the very first CDs I ever bought myself, like or like begged, I think my mom begged my mom to like buy for me was Stadium
Beg.
Arcadium.
Keyword begged.
Yeah, literally. I was like, you have to get this for me. Yeah, Stadium Arcadium, which was like that had like Danny California and Snow on it, and I just remember thinking that I was the coolest fucking person in school. It was like a double album. I would listen to it like every day on the way to school, and I know without exaggeration, I know every single word to every single song on that album, and it is no joke. Like it's like a 40 song album, and I always think like I'll always catch myself like trying to remember something really important or trying to like learn something really important, and I'm like, why can't I just delete the words to like Humpty Bump by the Red Hot Chili Peppers and put that important information in the place?
I imagine you as kind of like a sleeper agent, and whenever those songs play, like your eyes just like
Oh yeah.
shoot open, and he's
Oh
like, I can't stop.
yeah.
Like, slam a jam a mama and a hippie baba dama.
Oh yeah.
That's the best Red Hot Chili Peppers impression I got.
You got I'm gonna get it to you right now. What you got? I'm gonna run it in the right now.
Have you heard? There's some parody. I don't even remember what it's from, but some group made like a Red Hot Chili Peppers parody and released it at one point, and people thought that it was actually the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they're like, the Chili Peppers are back to their old sound. But
Oh
it was
yeah.
like it was some parody song called like Alabama Mama or something like that.
There are definitely bands from the 90s that I look back on fondly that I think people kind of shit on. Like it's kind of in vogue to like shit on Nirvana or Pearl Jam. Like a lot of the grunge bands, they haven't aged well. I will totally admit it. Like Pearl Jam has not aged well. Like Creed and Nickelback and all those other people who tried to sound like Eddie Vedder, they really soured sort of
Here,
Pearl Jam.
here,
Exact. Yes,
here,
exactly. But I still
here.
I still totally fuck with Pearl Jam. I love Pearl Jam. I really love Nirvana. They were so influential on me. But the other stuff that like the other 90s stuff that I listened to like in and around those bands like Sublime and Red Hot Chili Peppers, Green Day, like even fucking Weezer. Like I don't understand. Weezer has one good album.
At this
One
point, I don't even
singular
know if
good album.
at this point I don't even know if it's that good anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. They have like two good songs. Like that's maybe it.
Yeah. Like with what Weezer's become, I'm just like I don't even care like know if I care about these albums enough to listen to them anymore.
I feel like everyone who's willing to die on the hill of like defending Weezer as a good rock band because of the Blue Album or because of Pinkerton needs to just like shut the fuck up and like listen to like all of Slanted and Enchanted and just be like, oh wait, no, like this is what Weezer could have been. Okay, fuck Weezer. Like Pavement.
Or just listen to every other colored album that they have and just realize like, oh my god, why didn't they stop?
I personally like the Teal album the best, where they do all the covers of obnoxious, terrible '80s music.
I guess we should probably just start the episode at this point.
Yeah.
welcome to Strange Conversations where rock and roll isn't dead. It's just a new
Oh, I
Weezer
got it.
album.
I got it. No, I got
Oh,
one.
go.
This is gonna be real clever. Where rock and roll isn't dead, it's just becoming a martyr.
Huh.
Oh.
All right, Dylan. I know you're. I'm Austin Kenny,
I'm Dylan Bennett.
and I know Dylan is excited as heck to announce this one. He's been waiting, maybe since episode 1. I don't know. It's been a while.
I think the first single was like episode 1 time or ish.
It was pretty early, yeah. This
Yeah,
is
but
supposed to come out in July,
yeah,
right? Like
it was
early, or it
no,
is
no.
July. It is July, but
Yes, it was supposed to come out in May. No, in
May.
April,
April.
possibly.
Wow.
It was pushed back twice. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah. But without further ado, today we're going to be reviewing Ultimate Success Today, the 5th studio album by Protomartyr, out on Domino Records out of the UK. I'm really excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I know Dylan's about to go off, so I want to get a quick 2 cents in before he's just deep in the zone. I have always, I guess, been a little reluctant with Protomartyr, I guess. These singles didn't quite hook me right away. I did like Worm in Heaven when I first heard the single, but I never like went back to it and listened to it a ton. But recently been listening to Ott, and it was a good primer, I think, to get more into Protomartyr, a similar sort of post-punk sound instrumentally, I think, but vocally and lyrically, I think they're maybe lyrically they're a little similar. Vocally, some vastly different performances. I grew to like this album the more I listened to it, for sure. I didn't think, like, if we recorded this episode yesterday, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I did today. I definitely like the B-side a lot more. I think if I'm being 100% real, like the last 4 songs are when I'm really, really into this album.
Mm-hmm.
The first like couple songs, Processed by the Boys is pretty cool. Once like Tranquilizer hits, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like Tranquilizer is maybe my favorite song on the album.
Mm.
I just think it bangs hard. And Dylan, I know you're ready to go off.
I want to get some info down before I like fully go on this adventure, but I just wanted to talk about Protomartyr just as a band for a little tidbit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we always assume that people know as much about these bands as we do, and I think we forget that we're hot freaks, and that hot freaks we do, and that's a reference that might go over a lot of people's heads, but we do a lot of reading and a lot of like sharing artists back and forth and being like, oh, like look at these guys, they're from this time, this place, yada yada, like they're similar to this artist. But Protomartyr's one of the leading, I would say, one of the leading bands of the current trend of like the post-punk revival that I think is maybe reached its like popular widespread appeal with bands like Idols. Protomartyr is sort of maybe a handful of years precursor to bands like Idols, and has been cited as one of the inspiring bands like Idols, of a lot of these UK and Irish bands that we've talked about: Fontaines DC, Idols, girl band. Protomartyr's American. They're from Detroit, Motor City, and it shows in their sound. They definitely have a heavy influence from like UK post-punk, early UK post-punk, like The Fall and Joy Division, but there's a good amount of like just classic Motor City garage rock mixed in there, whether it's the Gories or whether it's as far back as like the Stooges or MC5 or Death. I think it's a really cool synthesis of those sounds. They were formed in 2010, and their personnel include Joe Casey on vocals. He's also the lyricist. Greg Ahey is guitars, Scott Davidson on bass, and Alex Leonard on drums. And I think it's funny that they formed out of a prior band called Butt Baby, which I think is just a weird name. But it's really funny. I personally, before this album, I'd have to say that it was hard for me to pin down. It's still really hard for me to pin down a favorite album, but this is a band that I think consistently has made albums that feel stylistically consistent, but also are constantly kind of pushing a little bit in a direction that I like. They are getting a little grander, and they are not afraid to sort of experiment in a way that has never disappointed me, which I think is a testament to just like they have a style that they have like fully owned, and they know what works, and they also know what might not. I wouldn't say they're not adventurous. They definitely have an adventurous sound, and I think especially like lyrically wise, they have a very unique approach. I think that might be part of the reason why Austin was put off for a while, is that Joe Casey's like delivery and his singing style is kind of almost like more poetic. It's like beat poetry set to like atmospheric post punk, which I it weirded me out at first too. Protomartyr was actually a band that took me a long time to get into, and they had been floating around all these other bands that I liked for a really long time, and I still remember like skipping Protomartyr songs like on Discover Weekly, or like not really giving the band their due. And then I finally heard this one song while I was at school, My Children, which is off 2017's Relatives in Descent, which is up until now their most recent album. And that song just absolutely hooked me. And I got really into that album. And then in the past year or so, way deeper into their catalog. I think they're a band that anybody who is into like garage rock, anybody who's into post punk, especially anybody who's into both of those things, totally check out. And if you don't want to take my word, I think you should definitely take Iggy Pop's word on it, because Iggy Pop called Protomartyr the best band we've got in America right now. And Andrew
Wow.
Savage himself, the lead singer of Parquet Courts, called Joe Casey one of the best lead singers right now. His whole
I
stage thing is awesome, but it's not even a thing. It's just who he is.
I got a fun story of how I actually learned about Protomartyr. It was back in 2015, my first year at HWS. Rob and I went. If you don't know who Rob is, you can listen to our Smiths episode. He's also in the Strange Campaign podcast. He's a good friend of the show. But Rob and I went and saw Cloud Nothings in Ithaca, and after the show we talked to the band and we were like, what are you guys listening to right now? And they're all like, Protomartyr's like the coolest thing we've ever heard. I don't know, they've never quite hooked me, but this album definitely more so. Maybe I'm giving them more of a chance now because I know Dylan's got a deep love for them.
I
Yeah,
know if I know if you can get into Ott, if you can get into Tim Darcy's vocal delivery, that sort of like ranty, kind of David Byrne-esque, like manic kind of sings style, you can totally get into Joe Casey. And I think once you can get into Joe Casey, the music itself is like it's a very easy bridge.
Oh, I mean, I think Worm in Heaven is like a perfect closing song to an album, and I love the vocals on that track. That I think that really is like the proto martyr song that will maybe get me more into them.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
think sometimes all it takes to get into a band is like one song.
yeah.
You can like
I
listen to that one song for like years, and then
yeah.
eventually you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll listen to some more.
Yeah. That's actually how it was with the OCs for me. I heard an OC song on a video game soundtrack. It was I Come From the Mountain, and I had that one single song on my iPod video for all of like most of middle school and high school. No, it must have been high school because that album came out in 2013. So I had that on my iPod like all throughout high school, and then finally in college I was like, I'll look at this album, yeah. And then it's like second song in the album is Toe Cutter Thumb Buster, and I was like, okay, yeah, all right, let's go, let's get into this. But yeah, I agree. Worm in Heaven, I think it's a tie for me. Favorite song on the album, Worm or Heaven or Michigan Hammers. I think
Hmm.
Worm in Heaven I like a lot because it's very different, and it excites me. They're like the almost kind of ballad direction a bit that they're going in. Michigan Hammers is just like a fucking intense, and it's got a really cool guitar sound that I always get excited for with Protomartyr songs. Greg Ahey just gets some of the coolest tones out of his guitar, and the fact that they have one guitarist always kind of blows my mind. And I think Michigan Hammers is like the best testament on the album to that. The singles, while I do think they're the highest points on the album, I don't think it detracts from the fact that um, Modern Business Hymns, which wasn't released as a single, is another song that I just like absolutely love. It is a really, really catchy song. I actually think, as far as the whole album goes, Modern Business Hymns might be the best starting point for people who aren't really familiar with Protomartyr or like the style of music at all. It's
Great
super
song.
catchy. It's really, really good. It's more energetic, but it really gets me. Worm
I
in
honestly
Heaven.
think like if for people, I don't know if this is just me, but like Tranquilizer to Worm in Heaven,
Hmm.
I think is a great like
Yeah.
starting point to Proto Martyr. They're definitely like the catchier songs in a sense. I
Yeah.
don't know. Bridge and Crown does kind of get, I guess, a bit abrasive,
It
but I
gets a
think
little
it just
weird. Yeah.
blends. I think it blends so well into Worm in Heaven,
Yeah.
like as just that tension kind of drops, and then the bass line just comes in Worm in
Yeah.
Heaven, and you're just like, oh, you just like take a breath and like
Yeah. They do that.
release all that stress. It's a
Yeah.
great transition.
They do that. It's interesting that they do that at the start and the end. That was like the exact same thought I had about Day Without End to Process by the Boys, where Day Without End is literally that whole song is just a build. It doesn't even have a climax at the end. It just like abruptly stops, and Process by the Boys is the climax. And I love the beginning of that song. It's a great song, and I don't mean this in like a disparaging way. I just think like the power of Process by the Boys is just that like the beginning, just that hard like dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun, dun. Like, and especially the way they build into it with Day Without End. That whole song is just like tension and tension and tension and build and like it's getting louder, and then it's like the song is over for like half a second. You're like what? And then it's like bum bum. Yeah, I love that. That beginning really hooked me. I will admit, I think the three songs following Process by the Boys are much more wandering. They're much more sort of proto-martyr at their spacier, at their a bit more like contemplative, a little less catchy, less accessible. They're good songs. I really like June 21st. Actually, I think I really like The Aphorist the best of those three, but I think The Aphorist and June 21st are really strong songs. They're
Hmm.
just not necessarily they're not certainly not in like the top five on the album, but it's a weird ending for side one. But please stick through side A. Don't let those three songs make you think that the rest of the album will be kind of like slower and spacier like those three songs, because it
Side B
kicks
is where
off with
it's at.
Michigan Hammers, and it's well worth the flip of the record.
Side B is where it's at on this one, in my opinion. As we move into the second half of 2020, it seems as though the B sides are getting stronger. And
Yeah.
in the first half, I feel like we were talking a lot more about the A sides on some albums. So just an interesting little note.
I wonder if there's some subconscious thing there that like it used to be that like I wonder if that's a thing. I want to do research on this now. I want to look at album releases when in the year they fall, and I want to look at whether or not the side A or side B contains stronger songs, and then figure out if there's a correlation between albums released in the beginning of the year having stronger side A's versus albums released in the later half of the year having stronger side B's. And I wonder if it's like in the beginning of the year, people want to start off the year really, really well. And so subconsciously, the albums they record have really strong beginnings and kind of peter out to the end. And then once you get to the later half of the year, people want to finish out the year really, really strong. And so they backstack their records.
Yeah. Do you ever? I feel like this could be a potential Dylan thing. Do you ever resequence albums in
Yeah.
playlists?
Yeah. I I I I I, th- I think I don't have any like concretely written down, but I constantly think about it. And I there are I think one of the best examples of like albums I would restructure. I think I constantly am thinking about three off the top of my head that I'm always thinking about are both Joy Division albums. I think Unknown Pleasures is structured slightly better, but I think
Hmm.
Closer could really do for a bit of a mix up. I think the
Hmm.
ending gets too slow, whereas I think some of those songs would be better served in the middle. Unknown Pleasures kind of has the same thing, but I think it's mixed a bit better. And I really think that Velvet Underground and Nico could use a better mix. I
Hmm.
understand that they wanted to put the really experimental songs at the end and they wanted to sort of front load the radio friendly stuff, but I think like that was a product of the time, and I think now that it's like this classic thing that like people widely revere, I think those experimental songs can get put in, the middle of the album, like Heroin. Like Heroin, I think is in a really good place because it's like the dividing line in the album. And I think something like Black Angel's Death Song, well, I think it would be like a strong end. I think honestly, I think All Tomorrow's Parties needs to be the ending of that album.
Hmm. Would you ever buy a record if it was a resequenced record? Like if for some reason
Yeah.
they're like the 200 the 97th anniversary of the Velvet
Yeah.
Underground and Nico. We don't know what to do, so we just
We're just
put the
gonna re
songs in a different order this
I
time.
would I'd
Here
be
you
very
go.
I'd be very excited to see. Yeah, I would. I think honestly, I love Sunday Morning, but I think Sunday Morning is the worst way to start that album. I don't think you should start the Velvet Underground and Nico with the most accessible, most radio friendly song on the album. I think that needs to be hidden in the album. Like you got to get
Yeah.
to it. I think you need to start that album with like Venus and Furs or even like Waiting for the Man or something like that. You need like a hook. You need a strong but aggressive and startling hook, and then you need a strong and aggressive and moving finish. And I think something like Venus and Furs at the beginning and All Tomorrow's Parties at the end would be the best way to sort of bookend that album.
Is there any
Is
way
there?
you think you would resequence Ultimate Success Today by Protomartyr?
I do think that side B is pretty damn good. And I do like the beginning a lot. I really like the beginning. I like Day Without End to Process by the Boys. I think it would just come down to finding a way to reorganize the three right after Process by
Yeah, I honestly can't even think of honestly what those ones sound like, but yeah, the first two and like the back half of the album are
I think I'd move Modern Business Hymns up to side A. I think I would
that would be a strong A side ender, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would move June 21st probably to side B.
Yeah.
Put June 21st before Bridge and Crown. So do Michigan Hammers as the beginning of side B, which it is. Tranquilizer, June 21st, Bridge and Crown, Warm in Heaven. And I would do for side A, I do Day Without End, Processed by the Boys, I Am Now, Modern Business Hymns, and then the Aphorist. I think the
Yeah.
Aphorist is a pretty solid song. I could see that, or even finish side A with Modern Business Hymns. Do I Am Now, the Aphorist, Modern Business Hymns. Modern Business Hymns to Michigan Hammers. That would be a good ass middle. That'd be a real strong middle.
Yeah. Modern Business Hymns hit real close to home for me.
Yeah.
In this modern business world I live in.
Are there any albums that keep you up at night with the way they're sequenced? Oh, I totally just thought of another one. Remain in Light. Remain in Light needs to be resequenced without a doubt.
Mm, nothing at the moment. Nothing like really jumps to my head. I'll come back next time maybe with
Yeah.
some. I can't think. I don't want to spend too much time pondering.
Do you know what's a
Ponder.
really really well sequenced album
Hmm.
I only thought of this because I was listening to it at work today, and I was just like thinking about how I was like, this is a really well sequenced album. I think Reckoning by REM is a
Hmm.
really well sequenced album. I think it
Hmm.
is a little front loaded, but I think it is really really well sequenced.
I mean, it's only an EP, but Chronic Town is maybe perfect.
Yeah. It's easy when you're only dealing with like
Yeah.
a handful of songs though. I
Yeah.
think I think the true test is once you get past 8. What can you do past 8?
Want to know it's a really well sequenced album is J Retard Blood Visions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that one just like moves. I mean, and also because the songs are so short, but it just really, really goes together nicely.
Do you know what I might resequence? And I would like to get your opinion on this because you might have a totally different idea. I think it's a really, really strong album all the way through, and I love the last two songs and I love the beginning, but there's a bit in the middle where I think it can kind of change around. I think Melted by Ty Segall could do for a bit of a shuffle. Not a lot, but a touch.
Yeah, it like the first four are really like
They're so
so
stacked.
hot.
I would move Caesar to second to last.
Yeah, even like sad, like I don't know, just from Finger to Caesar to Girlfriend to Sad Fuzz, like them being some of
Yeah,
Ty's best, I think.
dude.
Like it's so front loaded.
But honestly, most underrated song on that album is Mrs. I
Yeah, Mrs.
love
is
that
great.
song. The guitar sound on that song is so cool. Oh, Mississippi, Mississippi River.
Imaginary Person, also a great
Mm,
track.
mm.
Also on, I'm pretty sure it's on one of his earlier albums as well, like a more kind of lo-fi version of it.
I feel like this, we've wandered a bit. I feel like this might be a good spot to take a little detour. I don't know about you, but the hot new singles there's one big thing that's not quite a single I want to talk about. And then there's, I guess, one little thing I want to shout out, and that's just Smets, who are a really cool sort of noise rock band. Um, I kind of would consider them sort of post punk, but I guess they're a little more like noise rocky. They're kind of like all of my favorite band's favorite band, and I kind of have that slightly removed relationship to them where like I like everything I've heard of theirs, but for some reason I don't like obsess over them like I do other bands. But they released a single in anticipation of a new album that'll be coming out, I believe, in October, and it is called "A Good Boat to Drown On," which I think is a really clever song title. I haven't given it a listen to yet, but if it's anything like Mets, I know I'll probably like it a lot. I have their first album on vinyl, and man, the song "Rats" is so good. You got rats, you got rats, man. It's like they get some crazy guitar sounds. They just like some squeals and moans from their guitar, and it's awesome.
I actually don't really listen to a lot of Mets. They're always like a band that's in my recommended
Mm.
playlists and such, but I really haven't listened to them a ton. The only single I got one hot single to bring to the table today. Bibbidi Boo released a new single, the song "Care." It sounds like Lizzie McGuire and Dinosaur Jr. kind of fused together. It's like
Lizzie
a '90s
McGuire,
pop.
Lizzie McGuire, like Disney Channel.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, like a '90s pop tune, but like with some awesome ripping guitar. It's
That's
it's
sick.
it's really good.
I'll have to
It's a
check it out.
fun song.
Bippity boop. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to send it to
Bibbidi Boo. Did you hear the song Wish I Was Stephen Malcolmus? Do you
me.
remember?
No.
It's a it's another single before we were doing the podcast. It's a song called I Wish I Was Stephen Malcolmus, and it's a hot single. Not new, but it's a hot
Hot,
recent single for sure.
mature, hot, mature single in your
Yeah.
ear, aged like a fine wine. Yeah, and I guess it kind of isn't a single, but it comes with three singles, three 12-inch singles. Not to brag, but I really wanted to just give a quick shout out to any fools who didn't know. We did an episode on this way back when, episode 5. We were talking about Joy Division, talking about whether Unknown Pleasures or Closer is better, and to the exact same day that Protomartyr's album came out, July 17th, was the 40th anniversary of Closer's release, Joy Division's final album. And so they did a 40th anniversary vinyl reissue on clear vinyl, and it came with three 12-inch singles: Love Will Tear Us Apart, Atmosphere, and Transmission. And you know for a fact that your boy pre-ordered that and is still waiting on it to get here from the UK. But I'm hotly anticipating that record arriving at my doorstep, and I'm going to be spinning that 12-inch single, getting all sad, thinking about love and how it'll tear us apart. But I'm hotly anticipating listening to that album. I cannot wait to see how Closer sounds on vinyl.
Oh, I didn't order it because I already had it because I'm like a true
Well,
fan.
well.
I got that Wowie Zowie anniversary single coming in,
Mm.
and I got the Guided by Voices Alien Lane anniversary. No idea when they're shipping out.
Yeah.
It's kind of I'm just I don't even want to check my email because I just want the surprise to show up at my door.
Yeah. Just want to be one day, just be like, oh hey, hello friend.
There was a minute where after one of the Bandcamp days, I just ordered so many records where
Oh my
every
god, yeah.
day like was
It's
just
like
another
Christmas.
record, and I was like, oh, I don't even remember what this one was.
Yeah. It was bad. I would be getting
Yeah.
records and I'd literally I'd be like, I don't know. I don't remember. Am I caught up? I don't know. But it was
Who
great
ordered
because I'd
this
open it
one?
and be like
Like,
Christmas. It'd be so nice. It'd be so nice. I got this I had that exact thing happen to me a couple days ago where I guess a long time ago I ordered an album from Sacred Bones. I got Institute, who's like a sort of kind of a fucked up kind of like anarchist post-punky kind of band. Really good. You'd like them. But I got their album Catharsis, but I guess I wasn't paying attention and I got like a limited edition version. And so I opened the box and it's literally wrapped in like a poster, like a printed, like screen printed poster with a envelope wax seal on the back, like a pressed wax seal. And the poster is literally just the headline from the day Mark Bolan died, and it just says Mark Bolan dies in crash, and it's like a picture of the funeral or like of the car wreck or something. It's like really like fuzzy and hazy, and I was like, did they send me the wrong thing? And I like realized that the album itself was like in this weird sleeve, and I was like, oh no, yeah, I ordered this, I forgot, and I was like, hell yeah.
Death has like a sort of singles, or not singles, but like a demos album that I ordered, and I didn't even remember ordering it, and it came, and I was like, nice, good job, Austin.
Good
Good
job.
job, Austin from the
Way to treat
past. You got a good one.
yourself. Yeah. I think while we're talking about albums we love, while we're being excited about things, I think it might be time to take a venture over into the realm of sad boys and angry boys and people with hot takes on albums they love, on albums that we love.
Before we get to the hot takes, though, let's get quick tell people about the bracket
Oh
and all that
yeah.
other stuff.
Damn, we do have a lot going on.
I know we're pretty cool guys. If you don't already follow us on Instagram, that's at strange. I always kind of forget it once I say it in the moment, but it's at strange.convo.pod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Got it. Nailed it.
strange.convo.pod. We got our alternative foundations bracket going on over there. You can vote. Voting is we're doing it a little different this time than we did from our first bracket. We're doing kind of a weekend voting, Thursday through Sunday. Some rapid fire rounds. We just banged through round one, and it was an exciting event. But yeah, it's all happening.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I wouldn't say there've been too many like upsets or like super things that caught us super off guard. But I guess by the time we release this episode, there'll probably be a public record of where the bracket stands. So I guess we can talk about some results. Were there any results that maybe slightly disappointed you, or you would have liked to have seen another artist like go farther, or you were surprised by a winner?
um, I don't think I had any huge surprises. The biggest heartbreak to me, I think, was T Rex just not really
Mm,
standing a chance against the
yeah.
Velvet Underground. I don't think T Rex would have won in the end, but I do love T Rex, and I think it just like they really got stomped because in that early round. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
anyone who maybe would have gone up against the Velvet Underground in round one would have had that
Yeah.
same outcome, but I guess T Rex it hurt a little bit to see, but I voted the Velvet Underground, so I
Yeah,
guess
I feel the same way. I think I feel the exact same way about television too. Uh,
yeah.
I mean, up against Talking Heads in the first round is just it's gonna be tough. And I did vote for the Talking Heads because I feel like I got to. But there kind of wouldn't be a Talking Heads in a sense without television, and so part of me did feel a little sad about seeing him go so early.
Yeah.
Um, I also the same for Suicide, although I actually, maybe to upset Austin a little bit, I did vote for Suicide over Modern Lovers, and I think it's solely just because I think a little bit I see a more influence in bands that I've been listening to now with Suicide than the Modern Lovers, and so I think Suicide was kind of in my brain a little more than the Modern Lovers were. And it's just sad to see him go in the first round because they're kind of one of those bands that just epitomizes cool.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just more familiar with the Modern Lovers than I am Suicide. I only know a couple songs, but the Modern Lovers are a band that I really love, and I just think they're really goofy and weird. Um,
Oh, there
but
was one sort of upset that I'll talk about in a tiny bit, but
yeah,
yeah.
another just kind of sad one. I think they didn't have much of a chance. I would say is the Raincoats up against the Fall. I will say I did vote for the Raincoats, but only because I knew they were gonna go out, and I was like, I still want to cast my vote for you. I know
Yeah.
you. I wanted to do that, and there might have been some other rounds where I kind of was like, I know you're going out, so I'm give. Oh, Television. Yeah, I gave Television my vote, because I knew it would probably be the end for them.
Yeah, I think I gave Gang of Four my vote over Devo, even though I knew Devo was gonna sweep them. I was like, Gang of Four, they deserve it. They're
I did as well. I also gave Gang of Four. I was
yeah,
like, Diva's probably gonna go pretty far here, but Gang
yeah.
of Four, I salute you.
As we for those about to rap.
Dude, why isn't
The
AC/DC on this fucking list? What did we fucking think,
bro,
bro?
bro, you call this alternative foundations? You don't even have ACDC or Zeppelin, dude.
No Aerosmith, bro?
The one surprising thing, I think maybe the only upset that I was genuinely surprised to see, I guess I just kind of write Nick Cave. I love Nick Cave, but I write Nick Cave off as being way less accessible and popular than I guess he is, because he stomped Frank Zappa. And I feel
Yeah,
like I just assume that Frank Zappa is like more widely known and sort of understood to be like really influential. Nick Cave put a stomping on old Frankie Z.
I think Nick Cave has more hits than Frank Zappa. Like Nick
Mm-hmm.
Cave I feel like has been in a lot of movies and TV shows as of recent. Like has had a lot of like just a very cinematic kind
Mm-hmm.
of songwriter. And so I think people might recognize the name a little bit
Yeah.
more. But I honestly was surprised too. I really did think Frank Zappa had an upper hand there, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of twists and turns. I was
I
also surprised to see the Cramps as well.
oh
Beat
MC5.
out MC5. I thought MC5 was going to have the name recognition there.
I think the Cramps though, like people might recognize MC5's name, but like once they hear the Cramps, they're probably this is like maybe not true. If they're cool, it is. I feel like once they hear the Cramps, they're like, oh yeah, this is fucking like Halloween party music. Like
Even
this
just the
is
look of
awesome.
the Cramps too,
Yeah,
it's just like, oh,
yeah,
this is like spooky. This
yeah.
is like, it's cooler than it's
It's
like
got
the
that.
Misfits but cool.
Exactly. It's like that's the perfect way to describe it.
I mean, the
Uh,
Misfits. Not. I mean, I do. I there
no,
are.
no,
To be honest, there are
I
some
no,
Misfit songs
no.
I
Stan,
enjoy,
you
but
said
like,
it. You said it. Own up to it. Don't be a
yeah.
coward. They'll
I'm
come
sorry.
for you in the comments. Own up to it.
I'm sorry.
I
Sorry.
stand by you that comment. The Cramps are the Misfits, but cooler.
Put it on my tombstone.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess one thing I admire about Nick Cave is I think that he has had his discography is so long and so varied that he has a bit of everything for everybody. Like if you go way 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 back to the beginning to like the birthday party, you'll get like fucked up no wave sort of post-punky kind of druggy music. If you go to like the 90s, you'll get like dark balladeering country-esque music. If you go to some of his modern stuff, you'll get like really cinematic, almost kind of shoegazy, like interesting kind of introspective alternative music. And I think it shows his development as an artist, and I think it shows his like creative staying power. Frank Zappa's an artist I'll admit I haven't really delved into too deeply. Um, I think he has a reputation for maintaining a very inaccessible sort of sound, and so I think I've never really given him a chance. But I think I definitely will have to do a deep dive into Frank Zappa.
Yeah. Want to know what's around? I'm not looking forward to because I think it's gonna really hurt my heart. Is I'm pretty certain this is one of my predictions is we're gonna get to Iggy Pop versus the Velvet Underground there in the semifinals.
Mm,
That's my prediction at least.
yeah, I think so.
Um, that's where I see it going. Nick Cave versus Iggy
Oh,
Pop
yeah.
could be an interesting one though. Nick Cave did have a big turnout, but
Yeah, he did.
I don't know if it does though get to that Iggy Pop Velvet Underground. That's gonna be a tough decision for me. But I think I'm going to ultimately choose Velvet. But I don't know. Part of me really wants Iggy Pop to win this whole thing.
He's got a really interesting career like to talk about. I think when
Yeah,
you consider the Stooges and you consider solo stuff, there's a lot of meat on those bones
it's like in
for a guy who
those
has no
old
meat on
leathery
his actual
bones.
bones. Yeah.
And I think too, like those he put out an album 2019, 2018 maybe, his most
Is it the
recent
one
album.
is the one with
Is
Josh
is
Homme, the guy from Queens of the Stone Age?
yeah, I think
Yeah, that album's good.
he's done a couple albums with him, I think, and
Yeah.
they're like he's still just making good music, and it's not the same Iggy Pop that was
No.
very. I mean, obviously because they work together, but similar to David Bowie, I think that career of just always pushing themselves to
Yeah.
make something more than what they've made before or
I
try
will
something that they have not tried before.
I will die on this hill that I literally think that there are like I'll have to expand this list a little further, but the ones that are coming to my mind right now, there are there are two, there are three. Fuck, fuck it. There's one party album that you need in this world. Two really. I just don't want to say two because that expands the list, and I know there's more that I'm just forgetting about. There's one party album that you need in this world, and it is the most debauched, the most like drug fueled, just like insanely like spooky, but also just like I don't know. It's got this haze about it that just oozes Berlin.
Yeah,
The
the
idiot.
Beastie Boys, right?
Oh, dude, the oh, the idiot. Just like I
Oh
just want to
yeah.
hear the idiot on in every just like smoke-filled lounge at like 3 a.m. when it's just like the freaks left. I fucking love that album.
Night clubbing.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
calling Sister Midnight.
Yeah. No, that album rocks. That's the last album Ian Curtis listened to.
I don't want to think about
Yeah, sorry.
that.
I know it's a dark thing to bring up, but I just think that's like it's
You're right
definitely
though.
like it is that good of an album.
Another
As morbid of a thing as that is to say,
another
it's
cool.
that good of an album where it's like the last I that if that's the last album I heard, I'd be like, all right,
All right,
I'm ready.
there you go. The another interesting the second album, the one I was going back and forth on, was Remain in Light, and one of the interesting things that relates to Ian Curtis, in a way, the Overload, the last song on Remain in Light, which I don't think is a bad song. I just think it's not sequenced well. I think it's not a good ending song. But that song, apparently, David Byrne wrote that song trying to think what a Joy Division song would be like, and apparently people were like telling him about Joy Division, and they were like, oh, like Ian Curtis, like this young guy just like took his own life, and like Joy Division is so great. And apparently David Byrne like never really was able to get around to hearing Joy Division because I'm sure like back then it was like getting a Joy Division album in America was like super difficult. Um, so he never got around to hearing it, but people would describe to him what Joy Division sounded like, and apparently he wrote the Overload trying to think what Joy Division would sound like. And I think he did kind of an okay job. I think it's like a very spacey, kind of sad, somber song. Um, but it's got this interesting sort of like Talking Heads inflection to it that I think is a cool kind of cross pollination of all these bands.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's gonna be tough when it gets down to the end of this. Like,
Yeah.
there's gonna be some decisions in this one that I think were harder than the last one.
I think we need to not forget Brian Eno. Brian Eno had a huge showing.
Yeah,
Especially, I thought that it would be really close between Brian Eno and Kraftwerk. I thought Kraftwerk had like a really solid base and like a
Brian
lot of
Eno
name
stomped.
recognition. Brian Eno stomped. He's in right now. Brian Eno is super in right now. I actually saw a tweet. It was so funny. It was somebody tweeted the other day. They're like, well, I've got nothing better to do. Might as well try to figure out what's up with Brian Eno. And then it was like their very next tweet was like, oh God, this is way more than I considered. It's like I'm taking on way more than I thought.
It's just because Brian Eno's got his little grubby hands on everything. Like, what big artist in like history hasn't Brian Eno worked with? Like, obviously after when he came around, I mean, he didn't. Well, obviously he did the Beatles' "Let It Be." I mean, everybody knows that Brian Eno produced the Beatles. He was the fifth Beatle, some say.
Nirvana. Produced Nirvana. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, My Chemical Romance. But yeah, no, Brian Eno just like does everything, and he produces good, he make music good,
He
he
do
do
good.
good. He be good.
He,
It'll. I really don't know where this one will go. I in my heart of hearts, I want to see either the Velvet Underground or Iggy Pop win.
mm.
If I'm being honest, on the left side, my backing is for you might get a little be a little shocked, but my heart is behind The Fall and The Wire or Wire over on the left side.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Are you slowly falling down the fall?
I love Marky Smith. I think he's just badass. He's like a Lou Reed-esque He's like Lou
Yeah.
Reed of the European descent in a
Yeah.
sense. You know.
Some would say Joe Casey is quite a bit like quite a bit like Marquis Smith, with
Yeah,
just the sort
I
of
could see that.
rambling, shambling, speak talk sing.
Yeah, I was going on a hike the other day and Mountain Energy. Do you know that fall song?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that song just like played in my head the whole time.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
Oh, something just fell over.
Oh man. All right, I think, man, this is a jam-packed episode we got
I
here.
know.
Because moving on from ye old bracket talk, which is always a good time. Remember to follow our Instagram to keep up with the Strange Alternative Foundation's bracket, and you can cast your vote. When this episode comes out, actually, will be voting time, so it'll make sure to get over there, cast your vote, support who you want to win and who you want to hear us talk about. I'm sure most people vote for who they want to win, not who they want to hear us talk about, but it's an added bonus that in the end, we're going to talk about them, whether you like it or not. All right, Dylan, you ready to lay them on me?
I am. I am. I am.
You got
All
some.
right.
We should start making some theme songs for some of our reoccurring bits. We got a couple now, I think, that are Strange Conversations classics. We got the Metals and Monsters. I think that one will come back again. Hot new singles and hot takes all need a little intro bit.
I'm telling you, it's gotta be hot freaks, but it's gonna be like hot takes.
Hot singles. We only do Hot Freaks covers.
All right. So, Austin, these are gonna hurt. I just want to warn you, they're gonna hurt.
If anyone is just joining us, Hot Takes is a segment where we go to rate. Did you go to the same website,
Yeah.
rateyourmusic.com?
Rate my music. Yep.
My music, terribly designed. You cannot organize
It looks
by.
like 1998. Like it's terrible. It's like
Isn't it
literally
terrible to
hasn't
like sort?
changed.
Like you cannot sort by the rating. You have to like click through and like be like, oh, there's a 1 star. Like, and it's terribly designed. But we find each other's favorite albums, some of our favorites, and find the worst reviews. And you got to guess the album based on the hot take. Is essentially what the bit is here. So Dylan's got some hot takes for me this time around.
I'm gonna start with very vague and work my way into the more specific ones.
All right.
Austin gets 3 reviews to try to be able to guess the artist or the album. If you can get the album, hot on him. If you can get the artist, I'll be impressed too. But some of these I feel like are going to be a little more obvious than others on artist or album potentially. All right. So the first hot take for Austin. Entirely. Okay, so first off, the user, Creamy Mocha is the name of it. Creamy Mocha said, entirely unoriginal and derivative to the point of parody. The runtime is extended so unnecessarily that it becomes completely drab about 10 minutes in, and any glimmer of hope is extinguished by boring repetition. This has no reason to exist other than to waste everyone's time. 1 star.
Man, it's a roast. It's hard for me to guess where I am. Not a lot of context clues. We just got it's long a run time. I'm trying to think. I would imagine this would be an album that's maybe got some like longer jams on it or something like that. I could see it maybe being a car seat headrest album or something like that.
We'll move to the second review and see how you're feeling.
All right.
This is not a starred review. I just thought it was a really funny take.
Unstarred.
Yeah. This is almost more of a comment than a review. I feel like this would be a really good record for people who still like the Black Keys but are embarrassed to admit it. Or maybe just people who want to hear a band who are about as good as the Black Keys but are more into club shows than stadium shows. I guess that's cool.
All right, so I think we're definitely leaning more towards garage rock if they're equating it to the Black Keys. So now I'm thinking we're maybe in the Ty Segall realm.
Are you ready for the last review?
Yeah, give it to me.
All right. This is a 2-star review by Bob Gnarly. A basic meat and potatoes garagey rock album with light psychedelic and glam touches. That's what they do. Nothing here is as good as the genuine article, or even a lot of other copycats. The early consensus seems to be that this is them at their peak, giving you every different style they do, and will probably be their most popular album to date. It's certainly their most dad-friendly, drifting closer to the middle of the road than ever before, and incorporating some traditional classic rock influences. Everyone's enthusiasm for it makes me wish I liked it more, but unfortunately, I am not a man in his 40s or 50s who wears Chuck Taylors and flannel shirts on the weekend and has just recently rediscovered his love of rock music because of the resurgence of vinyl. Nothing against those dudes at all, of course. I actually think they're cool. I really feel like that's who this album will appeal to most. It runs way too long and gets boring before it's even halfway over, with some decent tunes in the beginning, but nowhere near enough standouts to justify the longer than usual runtime. They just lack range. And long before this album is over, they repeat themselves even more than I'm starting to in this review. This isn't bad, just not enough exciting at all. Older guys who think Jack White is the coolest thing happening in music today might have a new favorite hip contemporary artist if they hear this one, so I highly recommend it to them. 2 stars.
Wow, I first off want to applaud you on your performance there. You really adopted a persona.
Really getting into his headspace.
Became someone else. I'm still feeling the Ty realm just because of the garage. I don't know. Something about this makes me want to say Manipulator by Ty Segall.
Damn, nail on the head.
Nice.
Nail on the head.
Nice. Knew it. Just the glam rock. It was when it said glam rock, I was like, this is Manipulator. Because
Yes, it was.
I mean, I I can't smash those reviews too hard because in a weird way they have some accuracy. Just I don't know. I don't think that's too long or anything, but I just think it's funny that like I don't know, you can pick up on the some of these things.
All right.
What else you
One out of
got? What
one.
else you got?
All right, let's go. Let's go. All right, let's. I'm just trying to find which the best one to start off with. All right, next one. This is from username C.R.E.A.M. aka
Cream.
Cream. Frankly, this sounds like a band that needed to put an album out, so they went into the studio and just shit out a bunch of quarter formed ideas and called it an album. 1.5 star.
Hmm. I'm thinking this one's got a lot of short songs on it, and it's making me want to think Guided by Voices.
All right, let's go for the second review. Better than what went before, mostly because there are actually 2 or 3 decent songs among the scribble and scratch and annoying slacker Lou Reed vocals. Elsewhere, there are some okay ones that remind you of Blur, Nirvana, the Pixies, or The Fall, all vastly superior bands. Overall, they're just not for me. 2 stars.
All right, I'm definitely thinking Car Seat Headrest now because it sounds like it's a contemporary artist just based on the fact that they're comparing it to a lot of older folk. So I'm thinking it could be Car Seat Headrest, the scratchy sounds, the short song, but I don't know. They don't have short songs, but maybe Teens of Style, Car Seat Headrest.
All right, I'm hitting you with that last review. We'll
All
see how
right.
you feel. This is a character too. Oh, life can be so cruel sometimes. I'm being terribly selfish, of course, seeing as I live a charmed life in a lovely house in an area of London with low crime and nice shops and neighbors. I have a job I really enjoy doing, which pays enough to enable me to buy loads of music and go to gigs galore, and I have an absolutely gorgeous, loving boyfriend who makes me very, very happy. I mean, the little things can be cruel, like being asked to review an album by a band you hate, having already been tortured into reviewing another of their albums. That was the review for one album, which I quite fairly gave what I thought was a bit of a generous 1 star. I'll I'll precis the story of this band and me. I bought all of their albums after a couple people recommended them. all all of them. Where are they saying? They were all cheap. Listening to them all one after another had me having the worst afternoon of my music listening life. And there they stayed until last year when I was asked to review this album, and then today I dusted it off. I'm determined to listen to it all the way through. Fuck, I'm only at song name redacted so far. That last track, song name redacted, was just a scratchy load of old shit. You certainly have mate money for old rope. I've just this second noticed that there are 18 songs on here. Maybe I will renege that former statement. Hold on, song name redacted, is sounding listenable. I think they've just earned their first star. So many of these songs sound like bad outtakes from a school band. The singing is plain awful, the music generally chaotic, and call me an old git, but sounds a bit juvenile, and Slack is starting to give me a headache. I really never want to listen to this band ever again in my life. I've got the best part of 2,800 albums in front of me, and my life is just too short to be listening to this garbage 1 second more. Switches CD off. They said asterisk, switches CD off, and asterisk. I could only make it to halfway through. Song redacted. Frowny face. Sorry, I hate band name redacted.
Man, it's still making me. Do you mind reading? If it's not, I don't know if this is too much of a hint, but on the last review, it listed a couple bands. What were those bands they compared it to?
Blur, Nirvana, the Pixies, The Fall.
Hmm. But let me guess, the review could be written at any time. Oh man, I don't know. I'm still like I feel like Alien Lane. I'm gonna settle on Alien Lane. Long track list, short scratchy songs, guided by voices. Alien Lane.
Wrong. But
Ah,
you had the label right. These are reviews for Wowie Zowie by Pavement.
that was my second guess, but I just didn't think of it to be too scratchy. I guess I was getting hung up on that as I was thinking too lo-fi.
Ah, all right.
Yeah. I was thinking there were going to be some harsher Wowie Zowie reviews out there.
Yeah, those were honestly the worst that I could find, surprisingly.
Have you
They
seen the
did
Beavis and Butthead review of Wowie Zowie?
no.
They were like when Beavis and Butthead was a big thing, they would do like music reviews or something like that. But it was a music video for Rattled by the Rush, I think, and it's
Hmm.
Beavis and Butthead watching, and they're like, "These guys suck." Like they're trying to suck, and they suck harder than that. Oh.
That's fucking hilarious. All right, final one.
All right, let's see.
Final one. Gonna hit
Last
you with
take.
it. All right. This is a review by Super Lizard Jesus. I nearly died of boredom. 1 star. And I'll give you 4 just because these two are real short. I really fail to understand why this band is considered a passable band, let alone an all-time classic. I would honestly rather listen to nothing than hear this album again. 1 star.
Hmm. Give me another. I'm not really sure where I'm at quite yet.
Man, these are both long. I'll go with this.
Two shorties and some stories.
All right. Thank God for the internet, and thank God for torrent downloading websites that allow me to hear music for free. Back in the 80s, when I was buying vinyl records, I had to be pretty sure that I liked an artist before I was prepared to shell out 8 to 10 hard earned dollars on an album purchase. I had spent even $5 on this piece of crap, I'm sure I would have been sore. After being pleasantly surprised by their first album and giving it a 5-star rating, I am equally surprised by the low quality of this one. Their debut was an exercise in experimentation, and in such a realm, the musical limitations of the band and the lead singer's voice only made the atmosphere more stark. The debut had at least one decent musician present. On the present album, they try to go mainstream and play mellow folk rock. They fail miserably. Their musicianship, while decent in places, is uninspired. The singer's vocals are atrocious on this album. They simply cannot sing. The actual singing is required for these songs. On their best solo work, they wisely do not sing and instead go for talking blues approach. The songs on the present album feature totally forgettable melodies and their lyric range from dull to laughable. The only song I found at least decent among this was song name redacted, and I had a little kick at least. If one wants to hear folk rock done right, listen to Fairport Convention or The Byrds. These bands have singers who can sing. As for this album, thanks to the internet, I can click delete. 1.5 stars.
Interesting. A first album that's a 5-star, but a second album that's some folk rock trash. Where? Hmm. I'm gonna need the last one. I'm gonna need all of these ones. I need all the pieces of the puzzle for this one. This is a big mystery.
Final review from CraftPunk27. Huh is the title of this review. Huh with a question mark. You know, I wouldn't normally wish for an album to have worse production, but this one is a bit of an exception. The music and the songwriting on here is really the problem. Is not really the problem. Rather, it's that the sound is too clean. You can still tell that it's this band, of course, but there's an inescapable
I
air
think I
of
know it. I think I know it. I'm sorry, but I think I know it.
what is it?
Is it Black Marbles Bigger Than Life?
Eh. Keep
Dang, I
going.
don't know.
I'm gonna keep going.
Oh yeah.
There's an inescapable air of, dare I say it, selling out on this record, which makes it somewhat uncomfortable for me to listen to. It sounds like I'm hearing things on this album which I'm not supposed to hear on this band's release. It's very intimate, but not in a comforting way. It feels as though I'm being forced to watch the band perform these songs through a keyhole, but the atmosphere between the band is very intense and conflicting, and some type of argument could just break out at any moment. It's better to just hear them through the walls. The ambiguities of this album, the ambiguities of their debut and another album, are what made those two albums so great, in my opinion, and the loss of such ambiguity on this record just drives me away from it. Granted, however, there are still a few masterpieces. One song being what I believe holds the strongest candle to band members' previous creations with the band. The tense atmosphere that the band creates on this song, as well as the intricacies of the vocal interplay on this track, are indeed intriguing, but it can barely even reach what I believe the worst of the tracks off the last two records did. Is it a bad song? No, not by any means. However, it just isn't the same. One song is another contender for a masterpiece. Somehow, despite being very sparse instrumentally, the song carries great momentum and remains to be a thoroughly engaging work. After hours, it shit. One song is adorable, and I can only imagine how it could have inspired the entire bedroom folk genre that we know of and love in the present day. One song still carries a shred of the proto-punk energy that was to be found on the previous two albums. Most of the rest is just too forgettable to make any kind of statement on. However, this record is not terrible. By any and all means, give it a listen. I say it is generally above average compared to some of the other works of its time, but compared to the previous two albums, this album seems insulting, which brings it down for me. There's a totally different band on this record, and it's intriguing to a point, but it doesn't even come close to scratching the itch of the band that this one was named after, if you will. I will most likely give this album some more listens, and I may come to enjoy it more in the future, but as for now, this is how I feel. 2 stars. I gave you a bit of a spoiler there, but I don't know if you caught it.
I don't think I did. I don't know. I'm thinking Car Seat Headrest for band. I really don't know an album here. I'm kind of lost, but maybe Car Seat Headrest?
No, sir. These reviews have been for The Velvet Underground.
Oh, wow.
The
What
1969 album, The Velvet Underground.
Ah, okay. Interesting. Wow. I was in a totally different mindset. I was thinking very contemporary. My other guess was odd.
Oh, no. I was trying to
Yeah.
go for like some of your like foundations, you know.
Yeah. No. Wow. Interesting. All right. Another good set of hot takes, I would say.
You nailed that first one on the head.
Yeah, I felt that one. I really did. The others were a shakier arrow for sure. All right, so let's take it on home here, Dylan. I'm almost 99.9% sure I know your answer to this question, and if it is the latter, I will poop my pants right here on the podcast for everyone. But Dylan, are you gonna listen to this album again?
I kind of just want to see you have to force yourself to poop your pants, but
Ultimate
I
Success
guess
Today by Protomartyr.
I guess for another time we'll have to save that for another time. Stay tuned to Strange Conversations to one day listen to Austin Kenny poop himself on air. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to this bad boy again. I got it on vinyl. I got that lyric zine. I got posters. Put that in my room. I am going to listen to this album certainly again. Are you a new, slightly uninitiated Protomartyr? I'll call you affiliate, not quite fan. You're not in the fan club yet, but a acquaintance of the music. Will you listen to this album again?
I'm not 100% certain yet. I think the latter half of the album I will listen to again. Like I've said, like I really do like Tranquilizer and Worm in Heaven a lot, and they've been getting stuck in my head. Just right at the moment, I'm deep in this Ott phase right now, and I'm just like really loving Odd, and so maybe I think that really could bridge me into Protomartyr, just being kind of into, I guess, the more sporadic, manic kind of post punk at the moment.
Yeah.
Like I think it really could bridge into Protomartyr, because I think I really was a lot more open to listen to this album because of being into Ott. So I think for you, for my pal Dylan, I think I do want to like give Protomartyr more of a chance, and just because they really are like one of the most talked about bands right now, and I think they are one that I should give a little more of a shot to. And it's like, yeah, like I said, I've just kind of been getting into this sort of post punk vibe right now, and so it could be something I listen to again, but I'm not going to slap the guarantee on that one.
I'll have to make you a playlist. I'll have to send you a little mix of songs. If you can get into Aught, and if you like the Fall, and if you like Joy Division, those are the only ingredients you need to make a tasty little Proto Martyr or hors d'oeuvre.
It's like the Powerpuff Girls intro, but for
Exactly.
but for Proto Martyr.
Exactly. And
Joy Division and Spice.
hey,
And Ott
shout out to Ott. If anybody in the band ever hears this and wants to be on our podcast, hit us up in those DMs.
if you're in Proto Martyr and for some reason you hear this and you want to be on,
Yeah.
hit us up. Anyone, if you want to be on this, hit us up.
Anyone in any band.
If you just want to rant with us for a little bit, let us know. All right, but I think. Oh, you got something? You got another thing?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to. I guess I don't want to be a downer, but I do want to end with it slightly more serious. Just I think a reminder in seeing the current moment, what's going on in music for people who do not know. I would suggest anybody interested in indie music just take a look at what is going on with Burger Records at the moment, and I think especially to look at the Instagram account Burger Records, the Instagram account Lured by Burger Records, and read some of the statements made by that Instagram account. For those who don't know, Burger Records, quite a few of the artists on their roster and quite a lot of the people in their ownership and in their management have had, I won't say very serious, I think all sexual assault allegations are very serious, have had sexual assault allegations made against them. And I think that me and Austin both want to, assert and firmly state that we stand behind any and all victims of sexual assault, and we believe all those who have the courage to come forward and make allegations, because it's not our place to try to put music we enjoy or artists that we used to respect or admire above the reality that people do awful things, and we can't allow those things to stand and go unquestioned and to go unanswered for. And so we would like to say we firmly stand with the victims and with the accusers, and we would like to see drastic changes happen at Burger Records, and we would just appreciate any listeners who feel the same way to check out Lured by Burger Records, get more information, do some more reading, and believe women's voices and believe victims' voices, and fuck Burger Records.
Yeah, the music never matters over people's voices like that. It's these. I could give less of a fuck about any of these bands. They're like what they've done is terrible, and no one ever deserves to be treated in the way that these people have been. So never be afraid to speak out because of a band or anything like that. People suck, and we need to acknowledge when people suck.
Yeah. So, ending on a bit of more serious note today, but things can't be taken lightly. We appreciate everybody who listens in, and we want to make this a welcoming and exciting community to be a part of around this podcast and the Strange campaign. And so, don't ever be afraid to hit up our DMs to talk to us. And I guess it feels a little wrong to try to pivot back into fun and lightheartedness, but we just want to say that everybody is welcome and every voice is heard here. So that's us. That's the Strange Conversation.
Nazi punks, fuck off. Get out of here.
Exactly.
All right.
All right.